Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How you doing?
It's Wednesday.
What was that?
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Is that how you say Wednesday?
It's a W.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. I just didn't know that you were doing like it's like with the syllables you spin it. Wednesday.
It's a lot of letters to have two syllables the way I say it.
Wednesday.
I do not say Wednesday. I know you do.
Do I?
You do. You say it every time.
I didn't. Well.
Is that because that's how you learn to spell it phonetically?
Yeah, I do have to see it in my head in order to know that I'm spelling it correctly.
I'm just saying good morning, everyone.
Yeah. Hi. What's happening?
Good to see you.
Welcome to the We're Better. We come together.
Do all the signs with it. Morning show.
With
show.
Bubbles
And Squeak. I'm not in a very Bubbles and Squeak kind of mood.
Oh, you're not?
Really
Okay,
honest.
so Dr. Teri
I love you.
and me, Chris Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been holding back the saying Bubbles in the morning. And then I thought, last night I was laying in the bed and I thought, tomorrow morning, that's when I'm going to do it. And then tomorrow morning, that's not when it should have happened. So,
It's okay.
Read the room, Chris.
It's all right.
Read the room.
How are y'all doing today? How's everyone? We're just here, man. Drinking some coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Still alive.
Still
I shouldn't
charging
be
through.
talking to people this early in the morning when I feel this way. I'm like, isn't it amazing how none of us died in our sleep? Isn't that so great? I'm like straight up nihilistic, a bit existentially bound right now.
Yeah. Well, good. We're here for it, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We are enjoying a nice candle this morning, just to set the stage, set the mood.
It's my favorite candle.
It is a nice candle.
It's locally made at this shop called White's Mercantile in Franklin, Tennessee. It's called the June candle. It's my favorite. There's this candle that I loved from Anthropology like years ago that they do not make. I've even reached out and emailed I've reached out and emailed the company and asked if they still make that smell of candle that had been made just for the Anthropology stores for a limited run. But I was like, you're going to deprive the world of this most amazing...
Such an amazing smelling candle, yeah.
And I don't like many smells. So like that I love this smell was like a big deal to this self-preservation person right here. But I found one that's so similar, and it's because I love the smell of currant. So that feels really nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, let's check in with everybody. I want to hear...
I'm at like a 2. I'm just going to put that right out there.
Well, now we know Teri's.
Yeah, I feel like if you broke a bone, but emotionally, that's kind of how I feel right now.
I hear you.
Did
you
you
just
hear
burn
that?
yourself?
It smelled like I was about to set my hair on
You
fire.
did something. You singed something. I can smell it.
That actually took my mood up a little.
Where are you at now?
Like a 3. That was really funny. Maybe a 4. Is it scorched off?
I smell it. I can't.
I
can't
smelled
see
it too, and I heard it go like that sound if like a bug flies into a bug zapper.
Yep. Oh, you guys.
Did I burn my nose hair?
I don't know. I don't see anything.
Oh my god, y'all. Woo! Yeah, physically. Yeah, I feel you. I'm in like the mood to like yell at a cloud.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we should go and yell at clouds like we did the other day for me.
Yeah.
It was very helpful
very
for
fun.
me. Yeah.
I enjoyed it much more when you were mad than when
I was gonna say, yeah, it takes a particular mood to get into.
Did I burn all my hair off? Be careful
You're fine.
with
You're
candles.
fine. I see.
Just be careful.
I see no discernible difference at this point.
Okay.
You guys are awesome. You're nailing it. You already know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a 3.
Bring it.
We got a couple 3s. We've got an 8 over on Facebook. Teri, you're at a 3, so there's a lot of 3s going on this morning.
Do you feel like you've been grumpy on our show before?
Heck yeah.
I don't
Yes.
think I remember it. I find you delightful when it's you. I don't like it as much when it's me. Yeah. We should record yelling. So I, for real, have talked to people about hosting Zoom anger self-care sessions. Like when your emotion is anger, you need a different kind of self-care. Right, I talk about this all the time here, but depending on the way in which you're dysregulated, you need different care. So for me, when I'm feeling like scritchety, which is the word that I use when I feel this way, like all my cells are like, F you. I need a completely different kind of care, and it needs to be higher intensity I have to be able to include my body in it to the best of my ability, which feels good. And you know what I bet part of it is too? I have an autoimmune disease. So part of what happens to me in moments of like stress or anxiety, or when I'm working through new layers, of healing and that sort of thing, is I get inflammation. And so I have ongoing, that kind of comes in like throbbing waves of inflammation. I'm not in a full flare right now, but I don't feel great in my body. I'm also an Enneagram 3, so I have this sort of relationship with my body where I feel like we entered into a bargain, like an agreement at a young age, that I will come up with the ideas in my mind, and body, it's your job to always have a great amount of energy and a good mood to do them.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing is, those don't work. I'm just going to say it out loud. That is a survival strategy for me. It is the way I survived childhood. So when I find myself back in that place, what I know that I need is more nurture and rest and kindness, not actually pushing myself past whatever that point is. I don't know how it happens for you, but that's really what happens to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Robin. Flare-ups are the worst.
Yeah.
It's like it affects everything. When
Yeah.
my body feels this way, my mind gets foggy, so I can't think as clearly. Things just feel harder. It's like doing everything that you're doing with like those old 1980s like ankle weights that used to strap on your ankles with Velcro. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Just, and on your wrists and stuff,
Right.
but your brain and like it's like in my nervous system. It's not just bones and muscles. Like it's my actual nerves feel flared. That's what autoimmune stuff feels like. It's everything's slower. I feel sluggish and I feel a little stupid. Like just a little not as clear as I like to feel. I don't want to really read or do any of that stuff. So this is like what I used to do then is just, I'm going to go live with the wolves. Forget it. Peace out. I'm not fit for human consumption is what I used to say. I feel a little bit differently about it now. Like this is definitely a work in progress, but more how I feel about it now is, I need more gentleness, like loving kindness and compassion. So like, I know what I'll do today. I'm going to finish journaling and writing my morning pages, and then I'm going to do a loving kindness meditation. I love John Kabat-Zinn or Tara Brach. They both have beautiful meditations that you can follow. Kristen Neff does as well. She studies self-compassion, but more of that instead of like trying to like kick myself or push myself energetically or with work or any other thing to do. I need to actually come back off of that and turn in and nurture. And the growing edge for me is to let others in on that. So like to let Chris also be a place of nurture and comfort and care in that way. So that feels so good just to name it. I can feel myself feeling a little bit better, not physically really, but mentally, emotionally, that feels a bit more regulated to me.
Yeah, I get it. And the point that I wanted to make when she was saying all of this is I feel like that this community this is what we're here for. We want to support you when you're having a great day. We also want to support you when you're not having a great day. We want to support you and me. Like we want this to be an authentic place where we can all show up and just be who we are. Because, and one of the things that we're going to talk about today is the fact that not being who we are in the moments where we need to be them leads to all sorts of issues.
Makes everything worse, y'all.
Yes, because it's not that if we deny what we're going through, it's not that we then just become okay and we can move on from there. We still need to express ourselves, but if we don't have an avenue to express it, or it doesn't feel like a place where we have the ability to do that, then it's kind of stuffed down. And because of that, all sorts of things can happen when we stuff things down. Like I was saying yesterday about the day before, I was having a great day Monday morning, and then I used all that momentum and went into my work day and then hit a brick wall. And then from there, it just like, I was so excited about my week. I was so excited about getting going, and then out of nowhere,
brick wall.
It just stopped because of technology issues, and I felt so frustrated and so angry about that. But
hard.
The thing that I really appreciated in that moment was I had Teri to lean on. And in that moment, she didn't judge me. She didn't tell me you needed to, buck up and forget it and stop being a whiny person or whatever. She allowed an environment where I felt like I could really express myself. And because of that, I was able to get angry and yell at a cloud like we were talking about, but then I was able to move on. And because I was able to move on, then yesterday I felt very productive again, got a lot done, felt excited about the world again, but had I continued to just press it down like I have a tendency to do, then I would probably still be dealing with the repercussions, because what could have happened for me? I could have yelled at a kid or yelled at Teri or been rude on the road, and those waves would have reverberated out as well. So it's not, when we push ourselves down, it's not that it goes away. It's just probably pushed on pause until some other time when it can come out. And oftentimes, if it's pushed down, when it does come out, it is not a very appropriate way of dealing with it, because instead of us being able to modulate ourselves, it kind of comes out in an explosion.
There's a neurochemical in your brain. Oh, are you smiling at me?
I was just going to say that's just my personal experience.
No, I love that.
But yes.
There's a neurochemical called vasopressin, and what it does is it regulates.
Now I'm smiling at you.
It regulates the pressure in your cells. So what happens, bonding and regulation, all regulation is the result of neurochemical differences in our brain. So if you want to feel safe and securely attached, what has to happen is you get co-regulated, and that boosts your oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone, that warm feeling you feel in your chest. And you get vasopressin released too, which reduces the pressure in your nervous system. So it literally acts like a kettle when you're boiling tea or something and you open the valve and it releases pressure, or a pressure cooker when you click the valve and all that pressure gets released, and you can literally feel it open up inside your body, like space opening up, a release of pressure, a relief. Have you ever had that feeling before? Like, oh, I'm so glad I said that. It just happened to me when I kind of laughed a little about scorching my hair and the candle.
I still smell it a little bit.
Yeah. Being lit on fire actually feels more accurate to my autoimmune issues and what I was feeling emotionally than anything else that could happen. I just needed to accidentally light myself on fire a little bit. Don't do this at home. So vasopressin, though, helps us. It's similar to dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine's that reward center of your brain. My favorite way to talk about it is like that thing where you check something off your to-do list and it's like, bing, you get like a little bell run. Ta-da!
I did it. Yeah.
And it myelinates the neural pathways in your brain, which is like fatty looks like sausages on the little neural pathways in your brain, so that lightning can travel faster, so that you can repeat that, and it develops automaticity. So like driving a car, when you're initially starting, you have to be super conscious and aware of everything, but the more that you do that, those neural pathways get myelinated, and then you don't have to bring it to your working memory. It's something like chunked together. Now, driving a car is one big task that you can do, that your brain has collected a certain amount of pathways and they get batched together. A similar thing happens with the way that we take care of ourselves. So all that to say, you need different kinds of care to have that proper mix of oxytocin, dopamine, and vasopressin in order to feel better in your body. So for me, the only way to release the pressure, which is how we learn, by the way, we learn from the release of pressure, vasopressin, dopamine, and oxytocin together. So when you do something that does meet the unmet need, right? So if it's anger, it's a different need inside than when I feel hurt or when I feel sad or when I feel joyful. So if I can meet the need I actually have, it will release that pressure. I have this space inside, and what happens is you feel better. And then next time, it's easier to know what you need and what really helps you and what to do, and you're more likely to reach for a positive, adaptive sort of coping strategy instead of numbing out, running away, getting reactive, hiding how you're really feeling. You are able to be more in your integrity, meaning the wholeness of who you are. All of you is welcome. So that's kind of the why we talk about it in this respect.
Dude, you just went on a nerdy tangent,
I know.
and I love it. I love
really
it,
did.
and I don't mean that in any way derogatory. Like, I'm here for it. I actually heard one word that I could put together the meaning of when you said automaticity.
Yeah.
I thought of the word automate.
Yeah.
Which is kind of doing it on autopilot.
Yes, exactly.
And I was able to put that together. So I learned something in there too.
Learning is fun.
We did it.
We learned.
We solved the world.
I just want different mugs and different shirts for different neurochemicals that I need to access.
Yeah.
I do have a mug that has a caffeine molecule on it, which I do love.
Indeed do.
Yeah, I'm here for all the brain science because I feel like it's important to know why we do what we do. It's not just like magic and hocus pocus, even though I'm a big fan of magic and hocus pocus.
How do you say magic?
Magic?
Magic.
You have to do it with jazz hands.
Oh, I got you. Okay, cool.
So here's the thing that we really want to talk about today. I know we really were thinking about literally making merch. Is that something y'all would want?
I want some. Yeah.
Shirts. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Mugs, shirts, stickers.
Promise
merch.
I'll have some without cussing. Promise. So, all right, let's talk then a little bit about what we're gonna share today.
Yeah.
Do you want to do any more checking in or check in with people?
Well, if those of you that are joining us in the last couple of minutes, we've already done our check-in, and thank you everybody for putting comments in the comment box.
6.725.
Oh yeah, I like that 6.725.
I want the merch
Very
too.
specific. I think that I'm going to echo Amanda over on Facebook and say I'm also at a 6.725.
It's so high. What's it like up there in your ivory tower?
Oh man, it's glorious. The air smells sweet. There's a gentle breeze. There's a candle that burns us when we get it too close to our face.
I want to get it right. I want to like lay inside this candle.
Well, you can.
It is soy.
You'll just
I
hear
could
that
rub it on
sizzling
myself.
sound like you heard about 10 minutes
It
ago.
hurts so bad to smell so good. Yeah.
All right, so let's roll in. So we've been talking this week about being authentic
Capital A.
in our relationships
Authentic.
and integrity. You want to do a capital I? No. There we go. So
Give me an I.
I.
Give me an A.
A.
Those are all the letters I'm going to do.
What does that spell? Yeah. So we've been talking this week about being authentic in our relationships, which helps us to have more integrity in our relationships.
Ooh, I like what you did there with the bridge.
Yeah.
It's true. Briefly, our working definition, authenticity is being your real self. It's about genuineness. Integrity is about wholeness. So they're connected and related, but they're a little bit different. Those terms are a little bit different. So those are the definitions that we're working through, and we defined it in a lot of detail on Monday's show if you want to go back and watch that.
If you want to go back and watch it, it is available on Facebook, on Instagram, and now on YouTube. We are putting.
Why?
Why?
Why do I keep doing this?
You're throwing me off, and I love it.
Sorry.
No, I love it. But we've been talking about this because 2 weeks ago we talked about our interactional patterns. If we pursue or withdraw when it comes to getting into conflict with relationships. Then last week we tied it in together with how do we do this in relationship. If we pursue and the other person withdraws, or we both withdraw, or we both pursue, what does that look like? This week we're talking about how, because we aren't living in a vacuum, that we only get to do what we want to do whenever we want to do it, we have other...
There are some people who live that way.
I mean, that would be amazing. It's not my experience, but
Wouldn't
that would
it be amazing? To
be able
never
to-
be in contact with anyone ever?
Oh, no. Not be in conflict ever sounds awesome. Not be in contact sounds depressing.
Not being in conflict ever sounds so boring.
Well, of course. But it does sound conflict-free,
I also don't
which
wanna have conflict.
hits a part of my peacekeeping.
Just makes me nervous to think of a world where everyone agreed all the time. Feels very
Well, sure.
like a fascist regime. Or like boring heaven.
So, if it's not boring heaven or a fascist regime, it would be nice to not have to deal with so much conflict in the world. Just saying that from a personal standpoint,
Got it.
as a
Like
peacemaker 9 on the
utopia.
Enneagram.
Like utopia.
Yes, and of course it would be boring over time. And I'm sure that I would make something up even by myself to come up with some sort of conflict.
Utopian and dystopian literature both point to exactly the same thing. A lack of conflict, total peace, but they have two different ways of going about it. One is terror, subjugation, oppression, and slavery. And the other is we have transcended all of those things. It's almost like toxic positivity. I want to blow them both up.
So one is like toxic negativity and the other is toxic positivity. Both toxic in its base.
It's making me think of that Britney song.
Brittany?
I can't
You're
remember the words.
toxic, something. Yeah. I need to go back to 2002 and I can remember every word. But this week we're talking about authenticity. And the reason we're talking about that is because so much of the issues that we have in our lives, especially in relationship, comes from the idea that at its core, we can't be authentic. At its core, we can't say the things that we want to say or live the way that we want to live. And that has a whole set of issues that come with it. Like, what if we desperately love someone, but we haven't really been honest with them in our relationship because it feels too scary to say that thing, or it feels too risky to really be who we are. And so we continue to hold those things in. And because of that, again, what we were talking about earlier with just anger, it will come out some way. And so we were discussing yesterday on our front porch after Teri got finished with a long day of work about how if people could just say the thing that they want to say, that we would probably be out of a job. Because so much of being a therapist is sitting with people. Sometimes it's in one session they can do it. Sometimes it's over years and years. That they are just getting the courage and using our limbic system as therapists to go like, it's okay for me to say the thing. It's okay for me to draw a boundary. It's okay for me to say, I'm not going to be a part of whatever system or relationship or whatever. And so oftentimes people spend thousands of dollars and spend hundreds of hours in therapy or with friends to just get to the point of saying, I just want to be myself. And I don't feel like that in this relationship, whether it's romantic or parental or as a child or with friends or with business people, that they can be those people. And so that's when the resentment starts to grow. And that's when the anger starts to fester. And we have all sorts of issues because of that. And I'm not judging. I do this all the time. Even with someone who I love, who we've been married 20 years, still on a daily basis, I have to make the decision to show up and to be myself because what my go-to is that I want to keep the peace and keep that stuff back, which is why I'm a withdrawer when it comes to our relationship. I try to keep myself okay by not stepping into something that I feel that could cause some sort of conflict or break in our relationship. So is that making sense? Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I have all the thoughts.
I want to hear it. Are you going to go talk about brain chemistry and all that? Because I'm here for that too. Yes.
I'm sure I will. Well, so this is what I want to offer is in this utopian sort of place, we would all have the ability to know what we're feeling, to know what we want and what we need, and to just be able to express it. So there's two things. There's two tasks that you have to be able to do to show up in the world in an authentic way, full of your integrity, to be able to bring all of you there. Accessing and expressing. So it's two different sort of relational tasks. One is within you, intrapsychic. The other is interpersonal, between the two of you.
I knew you would say all the right words. I'm just blabbing over here, and then you're like, it's intrapsychic. And
You're
then
not
we all
blabbing.
know. No, I love
I'm
it.
completely with you.
I love it, love it, love it.
So, and it depends on where your problems are, depending on what your story was like, how you grew up, what relationships really looked like, and what it was safe enough for you to do. So a prerequisite for authenticity and integrity and telling the truth, being really honest with yourself and with others, is safety. You have to have emotional and physical safety to really be able to do this with others, especially. And then we know if you really have been traumatized or in a place where it wasn't safe, you might not have holistic memories of things or even really know what's happening inside if it's trauma, just flashes and fragments. So it might take some time, therapy, some work to be able to put some pieces together around certain places in your life. And that's okay. That can really take some time. And then for you to really be able to share with others, you need to have had some experiences where you were accepted instead of rejected or abandoned if you showed up as yourself. So we both have had experiences in our life where it really wasn't okay to be who we were, where we got messages that you need to show up in some certain way. For me, it looks like a lot of perfectionism and performance. I've talked about that a little bit here. Perfection and performance are when I know that I'm in some of my trauma, some of my triggers, or that my coping strategies have defaulted back to what I did my whole entire life.
Yeah. Which there was a comment on Instagram, and I want to say it out loud. So Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, afraid to be authentic with those closest to us. And then why is it safer to be authentic with a stranger, like a therapist, for example? This is a great question.
Such an important question.
And I think it lies. I'm sure that you can add the science and the facts on top of it, but I think that it lies in the fact that, I'm just going to use Teri and I as an example.
Yeah.
I have all this history, all these internal messages, all these things that go on when I think I'm going to say that thing. And then I have to put it through the filter of our entire relationship and what all of that means. Mm-hmm. So it means so much. Like,
you got a physiological memory. Like,
yes.
Even if in your mind you choose to show up, your body might have different ideas about that.
Absolutely. Yes. And so I think it's safer, or maybe not safer, but it's easier to be more authentic with a stranger. And sometimes that authenticity is that I can really talk to my therapist about things that I don't feel like I can talk to the people closest to me. Or I can yell at that person driving down the road that I don't know and be more authentic to my actual emotions in that moment more than I can with the people that I live with, because there's not that filter that you have to go through. It can be more immediate. You can have a quicker access to it because there's not all of those things fighting against this. And so for me and my relationship with Teri, sometimes I want to say the thing, whatever it is. But oftentimes I don't say the thing because I don't want to hurt her feelings, or I know the last time I said it, we had an argument, or
You're
1,000 different
the
things.
Outcome.
Yes. And so I'm trying to anticipate and control the outcome by assuming what's going to happen. And so sometimes it's harder for me to say the thing to her, the person who I want to know me the most, the person that I want to impress the most, the person that I want to be the most authentic with. It's harder because of all of that history.
So, there are a million reasons why we don't, so even if you grew up pretty securely, sometimes what we get into, and what I see a lot of times in couple relationships, and even when I'm working with individuals in therapy, is this sort of control that we all engage in at some levels until we're really aware of it and can catch it, which is, I want you to perceive me in a certain way, so I'm going to craft and curate the way that I show up for you so that I can sort of control the narrative, because that makes us feel safe. Like, we can always trace everything back to protection. Like, that's the way you protect yourself, is it's really not for me. You hurting me is not really as much often about my feelings as it is you don't want to be a person that hurts me.
Right.
And so that gets tricky then, because then I don't know you as much. So the price that you pay for not telling the truth is intimacy. That's what you lose.
Oh. Does that hit you in your heart like it's hitting me right now? Like, to hear you say that, the price that you pay for not being authentic is intimacy.
Yeah.
Because what I want more than anything in the world is intimacy with my partner, with my kids, with the people that I come into contact with on a daily basis. Like, I want to be able to move throughout the world authentically me in an intimate way. And intimacy, let's quickly define that, because often it can be just assumed that intimacy is only about some sort of physical or sexual experience. What we mean is just fully authentic and being able to be who you really are in those moments. Those moments where you really felt like you connected with a friend and wow, the hours just flew by. That was an amazing experience. That's intimacy, not just the physical act of love or the sexual act of being together with another person. That is also an intimate thing, because I think that what it speaks to in both of those situations is I'm able to present a vulnerable side to me, and I am accepted for that vulnerability. And because of that, it creates bonds. That is what intimacy is.
Think about it like this. If the only things you ever share are sort of like testimonials about the best you've ever been, and you hide and tuck away the parts that you feel are flawed, the parts of your story where maybe you're the one that perpetrated harm or hurt or made mistakes and that sort of thing, you hide those pieces back, then here's what happens to your nervous system. You know that you're only as accepted as what you've shared. And so then it starts to feel like you can't, like you lock yourself up in a lot of ways. Like, now I can't bring forward these other parts of me. Yeah. So it's almost like it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. I only show you the parts I want you to see. So then you only accept those parts, and then it gives me the message that I'm not acceptable as all of me. And so then I don't have my integrity, right? And then it feels like deception. And then you bring things out later when you feel safer and the other person feels like you lied. Like it can be all this mess.
Yeah. It's like when an actor is typecast in a role and they want so much to show the people who watch them in a movie or a TV show, they want to show you the full range of what they can do as a performer, but now they can't because they've been locked into being Kramer for the rest of your life, or to be the guy from the Big Bang Theory or whatever. And like they have all this other stuff that they want to express, but now they can't because they're Sheldon from Big Bang Theory sort of thing. And when you see them now, you can't see them as this actor with all this ability and this amazing way that they conform to the role and become this person. It's like, why is Sheldon trying to act like he's, in the 1960s and Hidden Figures or whatever?
We like putting people in boxes.
Yes. Even ourselves, we put them in boxes for other relationships.
Like, I'm not the artist in our family. We've had this conversation recently because I love painting, but Chris is the artist and I'm the nerd, and that's not helpful. It's not helpful for anyone. So there's a couple things that happen here. I want to speak to the question about why is it easier to talk to strangers sometimes about the real part of you, and here's why. Because they don't have you in a box yet. And the stakes aren't high. You don't have a bond, so you don't actually care about the outcome as much. It matters more with people who are in your life, who you're close to, your partner, your family members. How hard is it to help your family of origin see you in a different light? Right? How many of you have felt like they don't want to do that they keep reverting back to old images and perceptions of you, which then feels like, don't really like the way that feels?
Heard so much that like they want me at 12 years old. They don't want me at 30 as a 30-year-old. They keep treating me like I'm still a kid.
And so sometimes it's actually the path of least resistance to just act that way to make it easy. But that's a people-pleasing protective response. And sometimes it's even from trauma, a trauma trigger. I know it is for me, that when I find that hustly kind of dimming certain parts of myself, it's connected more to pain than it is to acceptance. So here's the other thing I want to challenge you with too is you being your whole self means there are going to be parts of you that even the people that you love the most are not going to like. That liking you is not going to be a condition of your authenticity. That you being authentic means that they accept all of you, even the parts that they don't like, don't resonate with. Are you willing to bring those parts of you forward as well? What do you do to yourself, the parts of you that you're not quite so sure about? Are you leaning into accepting them, or do you not want to look at them? Do you try to change them and alter them? What does that look like for you? That's a really important question to start discovering, because you are going to project onto others the way that you treat yourself in a lot of ways, and the way that you were treated in your family of origin. Chris is always worried that I'm going to think about him the way he thinks about himself.
Yeah.
And I am always worried that Chris is going to think about me the way that I think about myself. And it's not true. That's not what tends to happen. But the only way to find out is to risk that. So let me ask you this question. What do you think would happen if you told yourself the truth?
Holy moly.
What would happen if you just named it? Look in the mirror in your beautiful, sweet little face and say a true thing about yourself. It was hard for me. It has taken me years to even just be able to say out loud, I'm pissed right now. I'm angry. I felt like I needed to be even keeled to survive. And I did. I would actually have been physically hurt if I wasn't in a certain range. And so going outside of that range literally triggered PTSD, trauma responses around a wider emotional range. So it is my life's work to continue loving myself when I'm not on 5.
Yeah.
To let myself be angry and to let myself be joyful and actually excited about things.
It just makes me think of I want to go and change the world, but I have so many issues with just trying to handle what's going on inside of Chris. That by the time that Chris is taken care of, I'm exhausted and can't do anything else. And so those that can change the world, much love and respect to you, because sometimes it's just all I can do to wake up and deal with what's going on here.
I would say if you really want to change the world, the best gift you can give to the world is healing yourself.
Yes. Being authentic to yourself is like, again, exactly what you just said. What a gift to
everything
the
improves.
world, but also
Everything.
what a gift to yourself. And it's maybe one of the hardest things that we can do.
If all you do in your entire life is heal and end patterns of abuse and patterns of numbing out and patterns of reactivity with yourself, you're well done in your life. It is more than enough, because that will actually change the world. Imagine if every single human being in the world was able to really be just a little bit more compassionate with themselves.
Yeah.
All the terror and horror that you see is like a lack of love and intimacy and authenticity and connection, right?
Yeah.
And like, as angry and like justice oriented as I am, I know that the best way to battle injustices is to stand up and to have voice to speak out against those things, while also offering as much love, compassion, and empathy as I can.
Yeah. Woo!
Yeah. So,
preach! Man.
Yeah, give yourself the permission, space, and investment is the hardest part. Yeah. Would you spend your money on a damn sub sandwich? Go to therapy. Get a book, call a friend, do something like that. Like, you are worth way more than whatever therapy costs. And you can find reduced fee therapy anywhere that you are. You can find that. Go to openpathcollective.org if you need to find someone in your area that is at a reduced fee. If money is the obstacle, don't let that stand in your way. If you're connected to a church, ask them for help. Community, like, there's a million ways that you can find the help that you need. And you are always welcome to come here. We won't always have the answers. In fact, we're kind of on this path with you. Yeah, Canada should be included in Open Path as well. Laura said, if you're authentic in community as you heal, it would help others to heal themselves too. So, I mean, I have found that to be true, that, it's one of the reasons that we made a conscious choice here, not just to teach skills or to educate, but to share our stories of healing. Because what I've found, like when I was a professor, is the thing that my students felt most connected to is really more of the places where I talked from an authentic place about what it was like to be a grad student, my own therapeutic work, the struggles and the experiences that I had launching my own private practice, self of the therapist, the way, like, our counselor identity, what that really looked like. And it's the way that I heal the most too. It's like I feel encouraged when I see other people on the healing path too. It helps me.
Yeah.
It really helps me a lot. And so I agree. I think that it does that for everyone. I mean, I've seen it in our lives and I've seen it in our kids. Like, I don't understand how our kids are so awesome, considering, like, I didn't grow up with any sort of family that was nurturing or loving in any kind of way. Like, it has all been from healing and therapy and learning how to be tuned in. You got that more honest, I think, in a lot of ways, but you've had to do a lot of healing around what you were missing too.
Sure.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just really interesting how this ends up showing up. Yeah, Robin, that sounds really fun. Yeah, so the thing that I would say too is journaling, if it feels safe enough to do it, if no one's like abusive in your home that's going to go and find your writings and then use them against you, if there's a private way that you can express your thoughts and feelings without judgment at all, just stream of consciousness, just daily starting to write things, you are going to start learning about yourself and who you are. A lot of us just don't carve the time out, and you do have the time. Every human being has the time to do this. Do you have time to poop? Take your journal in there and write.
Yeah.
Do you have time to watch TV? Do you have time to talk on the phone or look at social media? You have the time to care for yourself. In fact, if you haven't been doing this, turn our show off and go take that time to sit and write, and to check in with yourself. It's so incredibly important to develop a loving relationship with yourself.
It'd be hilarious and awesome if we just saw all the numbers just go to
I would be
everybody
so
happy.
Just left. I would be so happy about that.
Me too. Can I say this as well on the journaling piece? If you are in a household where it doesn't feel safe to you, to journal and to be honest in those moments. I would recommend maybe a little hack that you could do is to try to journal in a way that's as safe as possible, and then to take those journal pages, fold them up, put them in your pocket, throw them away at work or whatever it may be, or shred them when you get there. One of the books that we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks is The Artist Way by Julia Cameron, and how that has really helped to open us up to be more honest and authentic with ourselves, that we try to do every morning sitting on our front porch, just like watching the birds, listening to nature, and just journaling. Just stream of consciousness, 3 pages, we just journal. We've gotten it down to where it takes about 30 minutes now, and it's really helpful. But she mentions in the book that in The Artist Way, the journaling is not really meant to go back and to look at as a indictment on where you are or where you have been. And so she recommends that sometimes...
Don't even look at it. Don't look at your past.
Write it out to
journaling.
let your brain and heart
burn it,
speak,
throw it away, shred
throw it away.
Put it in an envelope and mail it.
Yeah. So to make it as safe as possible,
Yeah.
maybe that does mean that you do still need to do this practice, but maybe you just need to immediately throw it away.
Can I say this too? Like if you really don't have anywhere else to talk, text hello or home to 741-741. It's the crisis text line. It's anonymous, and you can just text if it feels safe to do so, and then just delete the texts off your phone. You can just make sure that you're not uploading to the cloud, and then just delete the text off your phone if that feels safe to you to do so. There are a lot of resources available for that. So the other thing I would recommend, we love this book by Brad Blanton called Radical Honesty. Can you see it? It's going to be backwards on your thing.
We'll flip it around and it won't be backwards.
Made me feel stupid. Radical Honesty is great. There's so many cusses in it, so I know we would be best friends if we met each other, Brad Blanton and I, because we both love the F word so much. But Radical Honesty is fascinating, and he really does not care what you think about this book. So I love it and kind of trust it even more. And I follow him on Instagram a little bit too, but I love Radical Honesty. I highly recommend this book to find out a bit more about what does it actually mean to first tell the truth to yourself. What are we really talking about? Brad's already written the book on this, and then first telling the truth to yourself, and then he talks about how to have these conversations with real people in your life, and he gives a lot of case studies. So I love this book. I think this is the most recent edition. It was reprinted recently, but I absolutely love this book. Can't say enough about Radical Honesty.
And if you know anything about me, I am a fan and an advocate for audiobooks. I love audiobooks as much as she loves physical books.
You don't like that audiobook, do you?
But I do not like this audiobook.
It's not great.
I like the physical book more. He goes on a lot of tangents, and the audio quality is not as great. So as much as I recommend Radical Honesty by Brad Blanton, the book, I recommend
record it.
I recommend doing it in the physical book
Chris
as well.
Chris is a voiceover actor if anybody needs work like that. You should totally read the book.
That would be a lot of fun.
Out loud.
Yeah.
I would love to listen to your voice. Unless we're fighting. Yeah.
So
I don't feel good. I'm in
you.
a lot of pain. I need to hop off.
We're going to take care of Teri today, but we want you to take care of yourself today. But I wanted to leave a little trail of what we want to talk about tomorrow as well. I want to flip the script a little bit tomorrow and talk about authenticity and integrity, just like we've been doing all week. But I want us to talk about it from the perspective of what happens when our significant other or loved one, parent, child, employee, friend, whatever they are, what happens when they are radically honest to you? Yeah. Will we be able to be there and accept them for who they are when they start showing up in their authentic space? Because what we do here is usually talk a lot about how can we be best in the world, but I just want to flip the script and talk about how our relationships, how they will look if the people that are in our lives are starting to be radically honest with us. Because I can say, like, okay, today I'm just going to be radically honest with Teri. I'm going to do this thing, and that's all well and good. But then when she is radically honest with me, then I have to deal with that coming in also. So I'd like to talk about it because I think that this is a good environment to do so, in a safe, nurturing environment to be honest with everybody. So we love you. We want you to go take care of yourself. You got this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the comments. Thanks for
here.
checking in. Continue to check in with yourself throughout the rest of the day, and take care of yourself when you see a need or feel a need arise. See you soon.
See you tomorrow.
Bye,
Love
everybody.
y'all. Thank you.
Oh, so sweet.